Good morning and welcome back to the YouTube channel. It's very early. It's literally just ticked over 4:30 in the AM. 4:31. Can you see that? 4:31. 7th of September. Anyway, why is it so early? We are in for push today. It's early because it's actually Father's Day. It's my first Father's Day, which is very exciting. We've got family things to do today, so I've got to crush some push today. It was also the WNBF show yesterday, which I was fortunate enough to do my test judging in. Also had Ivan competing yesterday, who was in the last YouTube video, which you should have been watching, so check that out. That was me taking him through some posing rounds at 1 week out, so there's clips of that in last week's video. So yeah, it was very exciting. I'll delve into it in today's session, but I'm trying to push today, so I figured I'll just do a bit of a talk through, chat shit while we try and push. I won't delve too much deeper into any of that right now. We can just chit chat throughout the session, because I suspect, given the hour, I'm hoping there's not many people in the gym. I'm also hoping the music's not too loud. And it's actually, given that we're the start of September, we're into spring, it's actually, like, compared to yesterday morning, at this hour when I was doing my cardio in the garage, it was like 4 degrees, right? Whereas now it's 20 degrees. It's 20 degrees at this hour, which is pretty wild. I say 20 degrees, sorry, it's 17. It's 17, but I mean, compared to yesterday morning. So anyway, with that being said, pre-workout, down the hatch, let's get after it. There's literally one other person in the gym, but to be fair, what would you expect from being before 5 a.m. on a Sunday morning? If it's just a weekday, I could understand, but being a weekday, I can, being a weekend, being a Sunday per se, not many people around, which is kind of an interesting feeling, and I don't mind it. It also makes me wonder, the thought process of, being early in the gym at this hour and sort of overarching how you're feeling. Because ultimately, it's a mindset, isn't it? Sure, maybe I've been up since 3 a.m. doing client check-ins since 3 a.m. and I've probably had no more than 5 hours of sleep. But I think it's a mindset thing, to be truthful. You wake up with that mindset to really attack the day, and it just sort of stems from that. So I'm keen to get after this session. We're trying to push, obviously. Let's chit chat. You're going to be my friend for the day. If there's no one around, let's get after it. I suppose when I look at it in terms of being early in the morning, to delve a bit deeper on sort of the mindset that you've got to have is like, we have the privilege to come into the gym whenever we want and get after it. So, I don't really have much to complain about at the end of the day. Sure, it's early, but fuck it. The positive sign, it's quiet. There's one person in the gym. I've got free reign of gym equipment. I can do what I want. And it's awesome. So, the fact that I'm going to be able to get my session done, get home, Finley won't even be awake yet. I can wait. I can, go in when he wakes up. I think that, is one of the best feelings in the morning. So, it's perspective, I think, plays a huge part in, how you're feeling, how you're approaching anything, because you can get so caught up in, yes, it's early. Yes, I'm tired. Yes, I've got lots going on, but, that sort of, I say pressure, but, everything that you've got on, it's a privilege that you've got lots going on and lots going on in your life. So, not to get too deep at this hour. Okie dokie, we've got 25 kilos loaded on the machine. Let's do it. Come on. obviously mentioned that my client Ivan competed yesterday. Let's discuss that while I put my elbow sleeves on. So he was in classic physique, should I say, and he did first timers and open class. There were 3 open classes. He was in C. He placed second in both. I don't think either were. He was pushing for the win per se. I mean, he was good, but I think the winners itself were in both those respective classes were, definitely probably a step ahead for various reasons. I think in the first timers, the guy was just ultra conditioned. In the open class, because I think that was the over 180 centimetres, so the taller people. He was just the bigger guy that won. So that was pretty cool that he was able to, stand up against them. But ultimately, as a first-time competitor, I think he should be super, super wrapped. I suppose the feedback was more or less, he's got the shape, he's got the symmetry for classic physique, he's got the classic physique look. He probably just needs a little bit more size, potentially, and just working on his posing endurance. That was probably the missing link for him, was the posing endurance, to be fair. And we knew that, to be honest. Even when we were posing last week together, I could just tell that, that endurance probably just wasn't quite there. And the fact that, yes, he's, practiced his posing throughout the prep, and he had Vicky Arfi to help him posing coach. We probably just needed more time when it came to posing to get a bit more comfortable with it. Overarching, I think Ivan should be incredibly proud of what he's able to achieve in such a short time frame. I'd be lying to say I got him in this level of conditioning on my own. He was already in very good, relatively decent conditioning when we first started working together. I feel like we probably only dropped 3 or 4 kilos in the prep, given how lean he was when we started, which we just refined things and dialed things in. So, yeah, it's not all preps are created equal, are they? I might pop up some pics on the screen in terms of how I was looking, but to be honest, I didn't get many photos while he's still on stage because, as I said in the car, I was test judging yesterday, WNBF show. And yes, I had a client in the show, and yes, I judged him, but because I was a test judge, my judging scores didn't count. I fully disclosed my conflict of interest, and if I was a full judge on that panel, I would have stepped away for the entirety of classic physique. So, I think that just fundamentally goes back to why WNBF is such a great federation, is that, any conflicts like that, and to be fair, most other federations do the same thing, but I would have had to have stepped, completely off the judging panel if you've got a client, or any conflict of interest, whether it's, like you've got a partner, or whether you've got a family member, a friend, or a client, posing coach, that kind of thing, you'd have to get off the panel. Makes sense, doesn't it, right? You're not judging your own client, are you? As far as my experience with the WNBF judging, so as you know, I did the A and B judging early in the year. That was in April, and I'm very much looking forward to A and B judging I think it's November the 1st, is the A and B show. So a couple of weeks away. But anyway, WNBF, I had a terrific time, to be honest. The calibre of athletes was mega. It was really mega. The winners, I think it was Rob who won the classic physique, and Nam who won the open bodybuilding. And then there was obviously the figure girl who won bikini. She looked really good. And then obviously men's physique, of which I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Anyway, the judging across the board was awesome. It was great to be on the panel and just hear from, the judges themselves, Joey, the head judge, other people like DC, Nathan Wallace, Kylie, Nicole, all on the judging panel. Leah, of course, running the show. It's always good to get their guidance, their feedback. Obviously, there's certain categories that I'm not as versed with. Obviously bodybuilding and classic. Well, classic physique's a bit newer in terms of a category in WNBF and what the criteria is. But bodybuilding, I'm obviously all over it, of course. But some of the others like men's physique, bikini and figure, I'm just getting better at. I'm just getting better at in terms of how I judge it and see it and what they're actually looking for. All right, final warm up here. I reckon probably the last 3 rotations potentially. I've been running 4.75 plates on this, and I just really struggled to get sort of, past the 5 rep mark. So with that being said, I just pulled slightly back to 4.5 plates with the view to rinse that for a bit longer, get back a bit higher in the rep range, a bit more like that 8-ish, give or take, and we'll see how we go. So we've got 4.5 plates loaded. We're going to get some banging tunes on. We're going to flick the nut on. It's fucking, can't see my watch. What time is it as I get some tunes pumping? 10 past 5, and we've got Monster by Skillet. Is this kind of music you listen to at this hour? Who fucking knows? It's a good vibe. Let's get after it. Okay. Three, 2. Yes. Yes, lock it out. Nice. Take that, 8 reps. Alrighty, back off. We've got 4 bickies going. See how we go. Get things moving. Get the delts pumped. Three, 2. Nice, I'll take that, 11 reps. Update. Same person who was here at the start, he's left just then. And there's another person here as well. So there's still only one other person here. Anyway, on to, in my opinion, the goat of chest presses. It's just the simplicity of it. There's so much, I say too many machines now that are just over-engineered, aren't they? That have got 7 different adjustments that move in different angles and resistance profiles, yada, yada, yada. They're all over the place, I guess. But, the goat of flex fitness. And also, I find the grip is a big one, in terms of hands. This is relatively thin, which helps from a grip perspective as opposed to those thick ass handles. Oh, yeah. All right, doing a final warm-up here with 3 plates. I think the age-old debate of, should you be quote-unquote feeling it within the movement on any exercise for that matter? And I think my response to it is often, it depends. It depends on the movement itself. Oh, we've got another onlooker, another
patron entering the chat. You know, interesting to see, you know, by the time I leave here in the next hour, how populated it gets at this hour. Anyway, I'm just fucking losing with my marbles, aren't I, in terms of tangents. But anyway, in terms of should you be feeling it, I think, you know, if I think of chest, for example, now on a chest press, for that matter, I think as long as you're keeping your execution within the refinements of your arm path, your elbow path, keeping your shoulders in a really good position, you're probably you're probably going to feel it in the movement, but it's not as if you need to be consciously emphasizing, you know, like the squeeze and things like that at the top. I think invariably, and for me, what I find is that you just get that deep pump post the set. It doesn't have to necessarily be in the set, but it's post the set, you know, particularly when you've loaded up heavy, like that aching feeling in your chest. Whereas when you're doing, let's say, a chest fly, I mean, if you're not feeling it in the motion, you probably should be. That's an issue if you're not. So again, movement dependent. And I've got another example that I'll give you after I do this. So my other example is sort of hip hinge / glute hamstring work. So like think of an RDL, right? You know, the more I think of an RDL is that, of course, you're coming down with control, execution, but you're often, more often than not, moving the load. And inherently, if you're moving it within the confinements, as I say, of your execution that you're wanting to perform it, you're going to be recruiting your hamstrings, your glutes, your erectors, your mid-back, your upper back, and things like that. So whilst within the movement itself, it's not like you're sitting there squeezing it, unlike, you know, from a back perspective, you know, if you're doing like a single arm pull down and you're not feeling it in your lats, it's like, well, maybe there's an issue. Or if you're doing like a glute drive and you're not feeling it in your glutes, it's like, well, maybe there's an issue. But then I can tell you what, if you load up a heavy RDL, you're going to feel it the next day, aren't you? Your entire posterior chain is going to be rinsed. So that's sort of the trust that you got to have in it. And, you know, every movement is different in terms of, you know, should you be quote unquote feeling it in the movement? The answer, like most things in life, it depends. All right, we've got 3.5 plates loaded. Carry on by Parkway Drive. Fucking you betcha. Carry on. Oh, here we go. 3, 2. Yes. Oh, yes. 3.5 for 6. You beauty. No, I wasn't going to say it before the set, but I was nervous. I was really nervous. Fuck. You know, the last 2 rotations had been 3.5 plates, 4, 5. And similar to sort of the shoulder press, I'd kind of considered dropping back ever so slightly on this if required. But the fact that I just hit that 6th rep, I mean, there's definitely scope to improve execution and control there and that change of direction, but it moved nicely. And also, going back to what I was talking about prior in terms of feeling it, like in the movement itself, am I quote unquote feeling it in the chest? Like, I mean, yes and no. I'm also thinking about it, moving it within, you know, the arm path and the range that I'm wanting to. I'll tell you what now, like, you know, if I just quickly try and squeeze my chest and get it pumped, like the blood's pumped, like, you know, that, like, it's hard to describe, but it's like that, you know, deep within the muscle fibers, you know, whether this is bro science or any of that bullshit, like deep within those muscle fibers, like I'm feeling it. Anyway, let's rest up for a sec. Do a back off. Okie dokie, we got a back off with 2.75 plates per side. Time to get after it. Chest is pumped. Let's pump it up even more. Recruit those muscle fibers. Get a fucking huge chest. 3, 2, 1. Come on. Oh, jeez. That's what I mean. Like, fuck my chest. Like, words can't describe how much chest recruitment I get out of that. Like, whew, that's elite. Without a doubt, the hardest thing on a tricep dip, or a dip for that matter, is just getting the weight down. And that's often sort of your limiting factor. You know, as an example, I've got 3 plates per side loaded, plus a 5 on one side, so 125 kilos total. You know, the difference I found from going from 120 to 125 was pretty wild, because obviously the strong correlation with then therefore your body weight to then get it down. Given that my body weight hasn't really changed a hell of a lot in the last probably 2 months maybe, it's meant that's challenging, you know, that my strength hasn't progressed enough to warrant adding load and things like that. But we'll do what we can. You know, I'm not too concerned about loading. Of course I am, but, you know, as long as I'm getting some good solid controlled reps in, I'm more than happy. And obviously the seat pelt does assist, but obviously a lift off, an assistance on a lift off would be helpful. But since now there's probably maybe 3 people in the gym, I'm not going to bother them. Okay. 3, 2. That's a +1 actually. That was 7 reps. That's good. But you probably noticed that my butt was probably lifting off a little bit, and that's really just through virtue of the weight trying to move me, me not being able to keep myself grounded. But obviously the belt helps to an extent. I can't have it, you know, fully tight, because then I can't, you know, stand up to then lift it off. So here's what it is. That was a good set. Got some good stretch. Things I'm thinking about here is getting my elbows up towards 90 degrees with my shoulders, getting a good range. This is more a tricep bias dip. If I was more chest bias, I'd be more leant over at the torso, get a bit more stretch in the chest. I do get a little bit of chest out of this. Of course you're going to. But predominantly tricep bias. One of the pros of training at this hour is the fact that these cables are free. I haven't had to wait for them. This camera needs to be straight. Anyway, got some calf laterals. Just the 2 sets on here. Pump up the delts. Okay. update. It's about 6:02, and we've had a few more people join the gym, as you can see in the background, which is cool. A few more people, but still no more than 4 or 5 people in the gym at this hour. So it's still a vibe, and the music isn't too loud, thankfully. Often you come when it's out of hours, staff hours, and the radio will be fucking up to the wazoo in terms of volume. So thankfully, it's not too loud. I would prefer it to be silenced. Just be in my own head, have my headphones in, but not actually listen to anything. I think that's my favourite. Just be in your own world. So on to one of the more important movements of the day. Well, most important, tricep movement. It's a good tricep movement. I don't want to be so decisive. And I think that's with bodybuilding in general, is that you don't want to be so, this is the best. This is the best chest workout. They'll clickbait you. This is the best chest workout. This is the best delt workout to blow up your delts. Get natural big delts. Anyway, overhead, tricep. Let's go. Oh, yeah. As I was wandering around to get some plates to load on this, I've got 7.5 loaded on each side. So during this unilaterally, I walked past one of the few people in the gym. Phone was just out, and they had their Spotify up with the song they were listening to. I didn't know what song it was, but it was the Juice WRLD Legends Never Die album. And it warmed my heart that there's a few other Juice WRLD fans in this world. R.I.P. Fuck that album. Like, it just gives me so much like COVID lockdown nostalgic vibes, the 2020/2021, that Legends Never Die album. Incredible. I do I need to put on the Juice WRLD song just because before I do this set? I think that would be a great idea. Juice WRLD, and particularly that album. What do I want? Where's his albums on Spotify? I need to go to artists first. That'll help. Legends Never Die. What do I want? I want it. All right, let's get it. Single arm. The reason I like this machine so much, pause Juice WRLD in my ears, is because of how fixed you can get your elbow. This is what I try and you try to emulate on any sort of tricep press down, or rope press down, or wide grip press down, is it trying to keep those elbows locked in place and having your elbows fixed up against this. Like, you're putting your pressure backwards that way, so therefore your elbow actually can't go anywhere, which makes it so much easier and to keep the tension on your triceps, ultimately. So I'm going to do the right side. You don't need to see that. And then we've got 2 more movements, and then we'll try and speed through the remainder of this session. All right, on to the second last movement. We've got a chest fly, and then we've got an ab crunch after this. So make sure we're getting a nice big stretch, nice big contraction. Let's go. I've definitely been one of those people who have, loaded too much on any abdominal movement. And I think invariably you either just get your lower back involved or you just don't work your abs. That's the reality. So big emphasis on this one. I really do like this Nautilus ab crunch. Really exhaling and really crunching down. I'm feeling it. And, so much so that I get ab cramps. Make each rep count. Be really intentional. Don't care about reps, just quality. Oh. Alrighty, that is a wrap for push. Can you hear me with the wind in the background? It's super friggin' windy. But as you can see, it's now light outside. It's just gone 6:30 in the AM, so I'll be home prior to 7, which is awesome, which is good. So feeling we're just waking up at a bit after 7, give or take. So that's been push and a bit of chitter chatter at the same time. If you've enjoyed it, please like the video, please comment what you'd like to see in future videos, and subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest YouTube videos. Until next time, I'll catch you later.